Hello, boys and girls and friends beyond the binary. This is Mark Brown with your next Game Maker's Toolkit video tutorial series on editing for YouTube. Today, it's all about masks. Masks are a way of cutting holes in footage to see stuff behind it, and those can be used for all sorts of different effects. So in this video I'm going to show you 4 different things you might want to use masks for, one that's very simple, 3 more that are a bit more complex, and use them to make interesting stuff in your video essays. So come have a watch. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is use a mask to highlight some piece of information on some game footage. So here we have Mass Effect, and I want to highlight the dialogue wheel, and I want to draw the viewer's eye to this wheel at the bottom of the screen. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to right click in the project window and choose New Item, Color Matte. And we're going to make sure it's black and go OK. And we're going to drag this color matte on top of the footage. So this is just a black rectangle over the top of the Mass Effect footage. And if we change the opacity, we can see that we can actually make it semi-transparent and but still see the Mass Effect footage beneath. But also in the opacity window, we get these 3 options: a circle, a square, and a pen. And if we click on the circle, like so, and we change it to inverted, we can see that we've actually made a circular hole right through the black color matte, and it's revealing the Mass Effect footage beneath. This is our mask. And then we can resize this thing. So if we put it down here a bit, bring it out like so, bring it up, we can highlight the dialogue window like so. You also get some options for feathering it or changing the expansion and things like that. And what we've got now is a situation where the dialogue wheel is being highlighted, but the rest of the screen is dark. And we can also maybe have it so when the dialogue wheel appears, we put a keyframe on the opacity, and then before we'll set that down to 0, and now we'll have it do that. It shows the dialogue wheel, and then use the same on the way back out. And so that's a really nice way of highlighting information on the screen in a really quick way. A different type of mask is a key, which is when you want to get rid of a certain color in a piece of footage. So when I made an old GMTK video about Nintendo design, I used this footage of Shigeru Miyamoto doing a Mario block-breaking move, but I wanted to get rid of the white background. So let's put a red color matte behind it, like so. And then on this footage, we can go up to Effects, Keying, and Color Key. We drag that onto here. And then under the effects, we get the color key, and we can choose the color. So we can use this little pipette here to click on the white, and we've removed the white. Now, obviously, it's done a pretty horrible job, so we can really change these settings. So color tolerance is like, is it pure white or a little bit of white and gray? Like, how much should the white be? So we can bring that up a fair bit. And then edge thin is, do you want to like just cut the edges off a bit? So we can bring that in as well. And then edge feather gives it a bit of a sort of smoother outline. That's not too bad, but there's some issues. First of all, is around his hair. To make his hair, get rid of his hair, the white around his hair, we're going to need to bring the tolerance in quite a fair bit. And the edge feather, the edge thin. That's not bad, but obviously his shirt is a bit of an issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the footage of Miyamoto, get rid of the color key on this one, and then use the mask that we just did before, this time with a pen, and draw around his shirt like so. I'm going to just bring this down here. And so on this layer, all we have is his shirt, and on this layer, we have the cutout Miyamoto, and together they don't look too bad. Problem is, there's some moments where it moves. Luckily with a mask is that we can move it. So just before he bends down, we're going to go over here, and on the mask we can put a keyframe on the mask path. And then a few frames later, when he's bent down like that, we can select the mask path again, and we get the handles and we can move it. So we can move it down like so. We'll leave that one. And so now the mask actually shifts as he does. Now it's going to require a bit of jiggery pokery, obviously. It's going to take some time. Not something you'd do in 5 seconds, but you can, with not too much work at all, make it so we'll get rid of that white stuff by his blazer. So we'll put like a keyframe, maybe like down here, and then sort of up here. We'll bring it in a fair bit, and now it will, again, it's not perfect, but that's not too bad. We've got rid of most of the white. If we put it maybe on like a sort of pink background, that's pretty good. It doesn't look too bad. So that's one way of doing things, and that is using a key. So another useful use of masks is making transitions. So here we have this mushroom transition I made, which looks like that. So it is just an image of a mushroom like that. It's black and white. And I've just put some keyframes on the scale and position, so it comes into the middle of the screen and then falls off the screen with a little bit of rotation. So that's nice. And what I want to have is the footage of the game on screen, and then the mushroom appears and falls off the screen with the game footage. So to do that, we're going to just drag in, we're going to use Rayman just to be confusing, to have Mario and Rayman. Drag that underneath here. And right now, the mushroom does that, which is not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to use something called a track matte key. So we go into Effects, and I've got it here, Track Matte Key, and we drag it onto the Rayman Legends footage. Here, with the Track Matte key, we can use another video track in the video as our mask. So we're going to composite using the video track 2. And I mean, it's already done it, which is you can sometimes play around with these. It depends on what the footage is. Maybe you want to reverse it. But right now, because it's anything white is being cut through, but anything black is staying. So right now, the footage is there because the actual mushroom is just this big white page. And then as the mushroom comes in like this, it's actually cutting through the white to show us the Rayman Legends footage below. So the mushroom appears and then falls off the screen. That was really easy to do because I had it set up right, but it is just a case of fiddling with this, and this is a really quick way of making stuff look cool. Yay, hooray, goodbye. So the final effect I want to show is this one in the Metro Exodus video, where Artyom wipes his hand across his gas mask, and at the same time it wipes away the text that's on the screen. So I've got it set up here where it's got the word Exodus, and there's some footage where his hand wipes across the screen like that, and we want to remove Exodus. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the Metro Exodus footage like so and put it above, and then we're going to use a mask to cut out, we're going to use the pen mask to cut out Artyom's hand. Because this effect happens pretty quickly, we don't need to be too specific with the mask. If you look at it on, even my finished video on a frame by frame thing, you'll notice that it is a little bit messy. But because it is happening so quickly, you don't even notice it. So it's already looking quite good because what we've got is we have basically just his hand, but that's only in one frame. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at the mask and move it across the screen. So we can go earlier, just like with the Miyamoto shirt, pick it up and drag it like so, and we can move it and flex it and change it. So we're going to move it in like here. And so this is frame 1. And then maybe when we get to sort of here, we will redo it, so like this, and it will create the frames in between for us, like this. So it will, it's doing an okay job. I mean, it's not based on anything because it is literally just go from that shape to that shape. It's not actually looking at the hand at all. You can do that in After Effects, and sometimes I will, but for this is fine. And we can go in between the two keyframes like I just did there to then add a little bit more specificity to it. And then maybe one here, so I'm just going to bring these hands up. When it's away from the text, it really doesn't matter at all because it's only about which bits are covering the text. So we cover the text up like this, and then it's important that the mask stays over the side over here, because otherwise, if we bring one of these handles in, we can see the text. So we want to make sure those stay out there. So it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we'll put one over here, put it on these texts. Again, it's only which ones are covering the letters. The rest, we don't need to make the fingers perfect. Whoops. Whoops. Whoops, 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 whoops. Whoops. And then Exodus, cover it like this. And I think we should be good to go. And it wipes away the text. Really easy. I actually made a bit of a dog's dinner of it in my actual video. I spent a lot longer than this, and for the effect that was no better. So I probably should have just listened to myself and said it doesn't need to be perfect because it happens so quick. It doesn't even matter that right there it cuts off in a weird way and things like that, because no one will ever see it. But you can really take as long or as little time as you want with that one. So that's a nice little effect. And there you have it. Hopefully something useful for you there. Again, as I always say, don't use these things exactly like GameMaker's Toolkit, but use the tools and techniques you've learnt to make stuff for your own videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back next month with something else. Goodbye.